Welcome back to Hey Chaver. Chaver, you know why I say how you doing there, right? It's a tribute to my grandfather. He always used to say, hey, how you doing there? He was a good man, my grandfather. Reuven ben Chaim. And my grandfather, he was part of Babylon Talmud. My grandfather, he went through Shas many times. And today Lemais is his yahrzeit. So I have to say how you doing there with the special kavanah. Taka Reuven ben Chaim. So Taka, we talk about a pasuk today that Dafka says the word Chaim, and it doesn't say Reuven, but Reuven and Shimon they're like mainstays over here. So maybe whenever today we mention Reuven, we could think of my grandfather. Whenever we mention Chaim, we could think of my grandfather. It's like Reuven ben Chaim. What do you guys think? Let's go weiter. All right. So Daf Samach Daled Amud Aleph, about 10-15 lines into the page where we ended yesterday. Okay. So it's like more of this kind of stuff. It's gewaldig. Why not? Remember, like yesterday, I kind of said like it's gewaldig, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. So today's kind of like that, I think. Amar Mai, we said earlier. You see where I am? Yomar Shor Ugneva. Oh, gewaldig. So we had said earlier, maybe anybody who was paying attention, or not necessarily paying attention, but anybody who was paying attention in a certain kind of way, maybe you noticed something peculiar, which is that if we look at the pasuk that we were focusing on at the end of the daf yesterday, so it says, "Imimatze timatze biyodei agneve, mishor ad chomer ad se chaim shnai mishalim." If it shall surely be found in his hand agneve, mishor. So if we were kind of looking, it was kind of a funny thing. We were like, what's it called? So uncharted territory. We were like, what's it called? We were like, not like muscling or strengthening, or we were braving. Braving uncharted territory. The funny thing about yesterday, we were talking about Shor and Gneva, right? Well, Shor, I might think that it's only like, something that can go on the Mizbeach, therefore it says Gneva to like add on to it. The thing is, but then we were saying that like we should like include things that are like similar to Shor. Like, it was like a weird thing, because the whole similar thing is like a klal ufrad uklal thing. But also we're talking about Shor and Gneva, but the fact of the matter is, if you look at the pasuk, it's Gneva and then Shor. So if anything, it's really a klal ufrat. Like, we were like treating it like a klal ufrad uchlal, but like it isn't a klal ufrad uchlal. If we're talking about Shor and Gneva, it would be a prat uchlal, not a klal ufrad uchlal. But anyways, the pasuk doesn't say Shor Gneva, it says Gneva Shor. So if anything, it would be a klal ufrat. So there's a lot of questions over there about the limud at the end of the Gemara yesterday. So Amar Mari said earlier, Yomar Shor Ugneva. We should say, well, it says Shor and it says Gneva, but Miksiv Shor Ugneva? Is that true? Does it really say Shor Ugneva? Gneva v'Shor Udichsiv. It says Gneva followed by Shor, and it makes a big difference, right? Is it Prat Uchlal or is it Klal Ufrat? What's the difference? Prat Uchlal, when you have a specific followed by a general, so the general is adding on to the specific to include everything. Prat Uchlal is Klal Ufrat is punkt fakir. I don't know what I just said. Klal Ufrat is punkt fakir. When you have a klal, a general statement, followed by a specific, it's limited only to that specific, no more, no less. So the pashit opposites. So again, Amar Mari said earlier, Yomar Shor Ugneva. Miksiv Shor Ugneva, Gneva v'Shor Udichsiv. It says fakir. V'chitema ilu nemer ka'amr. Maybe it's saying, but if it did say Shor Ugneva, ilu nemer Shor Ugneva, right? If it would have said Shor Ugneva, but umimatzis omart, ma prat miforish. But then how can you, as I was just kind of saying a minute ago, even if you would say like, okay, but if it was a prat uchlal, right? Shor followed by gneva. Gneva being the klal, shor being the prat. So even if you would say that it's shor ugneva, so prat uchlal, but then how could we entertain, as I was saying a minute ago, like including things that are similar? That's a klal ufrat uchlal thing, but this would be a prat uchlal, right? So right, where am I? So ilunema shor ugneva umimotza somait ma prat meforish. But then how can you say, well, if the prat, if shor is something that goes on the mizbeach, I believe that's what we were saying, yeah. So then we should include other things that are similar to that. Where am I? Have a shor prat ugneva klal. If anything, shor is a prat, gneva is a klal, prat uchlal. So when you have a prat followed by a klal, naise klal mosif ala prat visrabu luluchol mile. So when you have a prat uchlal, the klal is adding on to the prat to say that it includes absolutely everything, not just things that are similar to the prat, but everything. So elo kidichsiv ka'amri. No, so rather it is like it's written. It's like it's written. Geneva vashor. Geneva vashor. Geneva followed by shor, so klal ufrat. Umimatzis omart. Hakol bichlal, Omar prat meforish. But then, how could we be saying phrases like Hakol bichlal, that everything should be included? Omar prat meforish, or why don't we include things that are similar to shor? Havele gneva klal v'shor prat. If we're saying that we're going in the proper order, so gneva followed by shor, that is a klal ufrat. Now, where am I? Klal ufrat, ein bechlal elo mashe befrat. When it comes to a klal ufrat, so it is limited only to the prat, right? So meaning if you say geneva, which is the klal, and then it says prat is shor, so it would be only shor and nothing else. So we can't say things like, I may have thought that everything is included, or let's include things that are similar to shor. Nisht. It would only be shor and nothing else. Shor in midiachrina lo. Only shor, nothing else. No, Chaver, what do we do? We stuck? After 4 years of Babylon Talmud, we're finally stuck. Can't move on. Chaver, does today mark Mamish Punkt 4 years that we started Babylon Talmud? Or maybe it's tomorrow? I'm not exactly, we have to look up. What was the date? Well, what was the date when Babylon Talmud started? Was it Punkt today, 4 years ago? So short midachrina. So Omar Ravis, it says Ravi Tana Achayim Kosamachle. You hear that? Chaim. Okay, Chaim, right? It's like my grandfather, Reuben ben Chaim. So Omar Ravi Tana Achayim Kosamachle. So when the pasuk says, right, Matzi Tamaza Biyadoi Agneva Mishor Ad Chomer Ad Se Chaim, that Chaim is another klal. So it's take klal ufrat uchlal. Uchlal ufrat uchlal ka'omar, period. So it's a klal ufrat uchlal, and then that explains why we're trying to include things that would be similar to a shor, because it's klal ufrat uchlal, and therefore we include things that are similar to the prat. How's it going with the klal ufrat uchlal stuff? It's not that hard, right? We were doing it yesterday too, I think, right? I don't know. It's not that difficult, right? It's just what it is, right? It's not fast, it's not slow, it's just you work through it and it's not a big deal. But 1 second, how is that can you do that? Can you have a klal ufrat uchlal when the two klals on the bookends are different? Geneva is including all genevas. Chaim is only including living things, not pizza, not garments. So, hi Tana Dver Bishmalu. Well, this is Tana Dver Bishmal, the Ki Agavna Darish Klale Ufrate. That he says that you can darshan klal ufrat uchlal even when the two klals are not identical, are different. V'achi kakashale And this is the question. Well, what's this? I feel like there's something on my hand. Is there something on my hand or not? Should I check? Let's see. Oh, good. I got rid of it. Oh, that was awesome. Okay. Where were we again? Oh, okay. And this is the kasha. Babylon. Rabbi Yisrael, are you with us? Rabbi Yisrael, are you with us? Gewaldig. Imimatze timatze lamali. How come I have imimatze timatze? Yomar shor u'gneva. Just say shor and gneva v'chaim and chaim. So basically, you have gneva and shor and chaim, right? The klal ufrad uchlal. V'akol bichlal, and we would say that it includes everything. Ilukena yisi omer ma prat meforish. But I would say, wait a second, but the prat here is things that are offered on the Mizbeach. A shor is something that's offered on the Mizbeach, so I've called a kar v'gab Mizbeach. So this is basically like what we did at the end of the daf yesterday, right? So I would think that things that are offered on the Mizbeach, animals that are offered on the Mizbeach, would be included in kefil. And nothing else, right? Because klal ufrad would be similar to the prat. Mayesh lahavi seh. Okay, so what would be included in that? Things that are offered on the mizbeach. A sheep. Kshu omer seh, but then it says in the pasuk, right? Shor ad chomer ad seh. So it says seh. So clearly we're not coming to include seh. Seh is explicitly written there. So I say omer amani mekayim geneva. So what's pshat with the geneva with the klal ufrad uchlal? The rabbis chodavar must be that it's coming to include all things. Yomar geneva v'shor v'seh v'chayim v'akol b'chlal. So then just say geneva and chayim, which are the two klals, and then you have shor and seh, which are the two prats, right? To say that it's not only limited to things that could be offered on this be'ach, it's including everything. Ilukain, if that was the case, I would say ma'aprat meforish. Well, I would say that shor and seh are things that are holy with the firstborn stuff, right? We have kedushas bechor. I've called davar akadosh bebechora, so we would only include in kefil things that have the holiness of a bechor. Ma'ish chalavi, like what? Chomer, a donkey. Shu omer chomer, when it says, interesting, when it says chomer, when it says donkey, oh my god, okay, when it says donkey, hari chomer omer, so it says donkey explicitly in the verse. It says donkey explicitly in the verse. So don't tell me that shor and seh is coming to include things that have kedushas bechor, because what would that include? Donkey. But it says donkey explicitly in the verse. Hamani mekayim geneva. So then what's pshat with the klal ufrad uchlal? The rabbos kol davar, it must be to include everything. Yomar geneva v'shor v'seh v'chomer v'chayim. Okay, so say geneva, shor, seh, chomer, and chayim v'akol b'chlal, and includes everything. Ilukena yisyomer, but I would say ma prat beforish by lechayim. But I would say, yes, but these specifics, I guess the shor, the chamor, and the seh, are things that are chayim, are alive. Afkol ba'alei chayim, so it would only include things that are alive. Ma'ish chalahavi, what would you include? Shar ba'alei chayim, other ba'alei chayim. Kshu omer chayim, hari chayim omer. When it says chayim, so that's, we already said, shar ba'alei chayim. Hamani mekayim geneva, so what do we learn out from the klal ufrad uchlal? The rabbis called over to include everything. Alright, then there got a little wonky. But alright, we'll say that we include everything, fine. So why do I need imimatze timatze? Right? It sounds like already, from the other things we know all the things, right? Geneva, shor, ad chamor, ad seh, chayim. Sounds like we basically already know everything. Right? We said it includes absolutely everything in kefil. So imimatze timatze lamali, why do I need imimatze timatze? What do we learn from there? Ihachi, Shapir kashale mishum de isle pircha. The thing is, right, ihachi, if it was indeed so, Shapir kashale, then you're asking a good question. What do we learn from himatze timatze? It seems extra. We already know everything apparently. Shapir kashale would be a good question, but mishum de isle pircha. But it's not so pashut. Because l'rabos kol davar mehecha kamaisele, where are you coming to include absolutely everything? Michlal basra. From the second klal. What's the second klal? Chaim. Like my grandfather, Reuven ben Chaim. So, klala gufe chaim ksivbe. So, where am I? So the klala gufe chaim ksivbe. The thing is that second klal is specifically referring to chaim, to things that are alive. Klal ufrat uchlal ma'iko mahanile. What are we learning out from the klal ufrat uchlal ilasui kol davar? If it's include absolutely everything, or chaim ksiv, by chaim in midi achrina lo. But the second klal is specifically chaim. It's specifically things that are alive. So we can only include living things. So mishum hachi itzrich im himatzi timatzi. That's why we need im himatzi timatzi, because to learn out klal ufrat uchlal using the chaim as the second klal, we would only be able to include things, right, living things, animate things. How would we be able to include even inanimate things for kefil? So that's why we need himatze timatze. So basically the idea now becomes that himatze and timatze are the two klals. So basically himatze and timatze are the klals, and then shor and chomer and tzev, right, those things are the prats. So amiva shnei klalos desmichi adade, but the thing is, it's not really klal, right? You have the two klals that are right next to each other, right? Himatze timatze are right next to each other. It's himatze timatze followed by shor, chomer, seh. Klal ufrat uchlal should be one klal with a bunch of prats followed by another klal, a klal sandwich. But this is the two klals with all of the contents spilling out outside of the sandwich. Where am I? So Vashne closed the smicha dadin. So Ravina says, Ravina kedami my Rav. It's like they say in Eretz Yisrael. I live in Eretz Yisrael. Whenever you have two klals which are right next to each other, hatel prat beneim vidunam bichlal ufrat. You could put the prats in between those two klals that are right next to each other and treat it like a klal ufrat uchlal. Shtishor benimatze letimatze. So therefore, take shor and put it between himatze and timatze, right? So you have klal ufrat uchlal. Lasuye mai. What does that come to include? Ilasuye balechayim michayim nafka. If it's only coming to include other things that are alive, that are living, so that's learned out from the word chaim in the pasuk. So rather, it is to include even things that are not alive. Even things that are not alive, or it would be shaykh to kefil, right? Because if it's only things that are alive, we learned that out from the word chaim. So shor is coming to include even things that are not alive. Ujoshachi and darshan like this, ma'prat meforish davar metaltal v'gufo mamin, and just like shor is a thing that moves, is movable, it's metaltalin, and it itself has value. So afkol davar metaltal v'gufo mamun. So anything that is movable and has value, it itself has value, right? Unlike a star, for example, which itself doesn't really have value. It can be used to get value, but right. So anything that's movable and has value would be shaykh to the laws of kefil. Visu shdi chomer beni matzli timatze, and now put chomer between a donkey between himatze and timatze in klal ufrat uchlal. Lasuye might include what ilasuye davar shein ba. If it's only to include things that are inanimate, well, we already learned that out from shore. Dover misuyim. Rather, to include that it needs to be something that is identifiable. It has to be something that's identifiable in order to be shaykh to kefil. If that's the case, okay, but what do we let out from seh? There are 3 prots there. There's shor, there's chomer, and there's seh. So shor, we want to say call metaltal v'gufa mamun. Chomer, we're saying even right, it has to dafka be identifiable. What are we learning out from seh? So ela riba umiet v'riba hu. Rather, this is not a scenario of klal ufrat uchlal. It is a scenario of riboy umiut v'riboy. What's the difference between those two? So klal ufrat uchlal, we've been talking about that it comes to include any things that are similar to the prat. Riboy umiut v'riboy comes to include absolutely everything. So what's the point then of the mi'ut? It excludes just one thing. It includes absolutely everything except for one thing as represented by the mi'ut. Kidetanit v'bishmol, like it started in the Besmenish of Rabbi Shmuel. Kidetanit v'bishmol, b'mayim beis paimim. It says by fish. Cheva, do you eat fish? Cheva, you eat fish in Babylon Talmud? So fish, it says b'mayim, right? What does the pasuk say? Ezeh tochlu mina mikol asher b'mayim. These are the fish you can eat, right? B'mayim, the things that you can eat in the water. Kol asher lo snape v'kaskeses, fins and scales, b'mayim, in the water. B'yamim v'anecholim osem tochelu. So after it says mayim twice, then it starts going into details. Seas, creek. What's a nachal? A creek? Why not? So b'mayim beis paimim. Ein zeh klal ufrat ela riba umiet v'riba. Riba akol. So this is not klal ufrat uchlal, it's riboy umiut v'riboy. Riba akol, it includes absolutely everything. My Rabbi kol mile. So I believe this is going back now to our case. So therefore in our case, what are we talking about again? Kefel. So we have himatze and timatze and a bunch of miuts, right? 2 riboys and a bunch of miuts. So riboy umiut v'riboy. So it includes everything. My Rabbi akol kol mile. It includes absolutely everything is shaykh to kefil. Yihochi kolani prata lamali. And what do we learn out from these prats, from shor, chomer, seh? Chadamute karke. One is to exclude, right? Because riboy umiut v'riboy includes everything except for the prats, right? So the prats are coming to exclude just a few things. So one, right? So shor, right? One of them is coming to exclude the mute karke, to say that kefel does not apply to stealing property. V'chad mute avodim, and also kefel does not apply to stealing avodim. V'chad mute shtaris, and one is to exclude documents that kefil does not apply to stealing a document. Geneva v'chayim, and then what do we learn out from Geneva and Chayim? What do we learn out from Geneva and Chayim? What do we learn out from Geneva and Chayim? Right, we learned out from we say himatze and timatze are the 2 clals. We learn out from shor, chomer, seh to exclude karka, avodim, shtaris. What are we left over with? Chaim and Geneva. So Geneva v'Chaim l'chidirav is like Rav the Amar who said Achyei lekerin ke'ein shegonab, that the keren payment is like at the time that it was stolen. That, right? So meaning if you steal something and then its value, right, goes up or down in value, so the kasha is do you pay back the principal and double and all these things based on the value at the time of the theft or the current value? So Rab says that it's ke'ein shegonov, that keren, the principal amount, is like at the time of the theft. Okay, period. Wow. Chevre, we're about to now go back to some earlier stuff, but okay. Wow. Where are we? Where are we? And Achsamif Daled Amud Beis. Where did we start? I'm not talking about today, I'm talking about yesterday. Wow. Chevre, this is important. Chevre, you gotta remember back to yesterday. Yesterday we had these two psukim, Im yimotze haganif and im lo yimotze haganif. The shaila is, what are those two psukim talking about? One manda right, the first brisa said that they're both talking about toin tainus ganif. The second brisa says no, the first pasuk is talking about ganif, and the second pasuk is talking about toin tainus ganif. Now, the kasha is, according to the first brisa, who says that both psukim are talking about toin tainus ganif, so how do you know ganif? How do you know that there's kefil by a ganif? So we said that we learned it out from this whole pasuk of himotze, timotze, agneva, and we're talking about what kind of gneva is there kefil for. So we see clearly that there's kefil by ordinary theft. So this whole long arichis that we started with yesterday, and we're in the middle of now, or we really just wrapped up that brisa now, was all to say that if you say that both im yimotze haganif and im lo yimotze haganif, both of them are talking about toin tainus ganif. So how do you know about a ganif himself? So it's coming from this brisa. So uleman de omar chad beganif. But according to the second brisa, right, the one who says that the first pasuk of Im Yimotze Haganif is talking about the Ganif himself, and Im Lo Yimotze Haganif, or Agneva, Im Yimotze Haganif, is talking about Toin Tainus Ganif, so we already know Ganif. So where am I? So the Manda Omer Chad Beganif, Chad Betoin Tainus Ganif, Beganif atzmo nafkale me'im yimotze haganif, and we learn out the ganif from im yimotze haganif from the first pasuk. Hi im himotze timotze ma darish bei. So what does he do with this pasuk of im yimotze timotze? Again, if you say that both of those, when I talk about both of those psukim, I'm talking about the psukim of Im yimotze haganif and im lo yimotze haganif, okay? So if both of those psukim are talking about toin tainus ganif, so im himotze timotze is talking about geneva, the ganif himself. But if you say that the first pasuk is talking about the ganif and the second pasuk is talking about toin tainus ganif, so I already know ganif, so what do we learn out from? Himotze timotze, ha. I told you it's a gishmak adaf. So my darish bei. So what do you learn from there if you already know ganif? Mi boy lelich de Rav bar Ahiloi, to Rav bar Ahiloi, my time de Rav, do amemode beknas v'acharkach bo edim potter. How come Rav says that if a fellow admits by a knas, right? So I don't know, for example, he steals something, right? And then he admits it, so he doesn't have to pay kefil. But a person who is mode beknas, he's potter. If witnesses then come and testify that he let's say stole, so how do I know that he's still potter from paying the knas? Dichsiv im himotze timotze, because from this pasuk of himotze timotze, im himotze ba'edim timotze b'dayonim, that you pay kefil when there is witnesses and you go to court. To the exclusion of somebody who incriminates himself. In that case, he would be potter from kefil. He would be potter from knas. So we learn out from imimotze timotze that mode beknas v'acharkach bo edim potter. Okay. Ulmad Omar tarvayu betoyin tainus ganif. And according to the one who says that both of those psukim are talking about toyin tainus ganif, the ayim imotze timotze mapukle leganif atzmo, and therefore in imotze timotze we need to teach about the ganif himself. Marshia atzmo minolon. So then, how do I know that somebody who's marshia himself is potter from paying a knas? So me'asher yashun Elohim, right? The pasuk says asher yashun Elohim yishalim shneim l'reu. That only if in Bezdin they make him guilty, that's when he has to pay kefil, which is a knas. Not somebody who incriminates himself. If he incriminates himself, he's potter from paying the knas. Now if you say the first pasuk is talking about a ganif, the second pasuk is talking about Toyin Tainis ganif, the Aisi lay meimatze timatze the mashe'es atzmo. And he learns out from himatze timatze to be talking about a scenario where a fellow incriminates himself. So hi asher yashiyun my darish base. So then what do you learn out from asher yashiyun Elohim? Or my loch, he'll say ahu mi boy lay limod b'knas potter. To teach that mod b'knas is potter, meaning from asher yashiyun Elohim, that's where we learn out that mod b'knas is potter, that if a fellow admits that he stole something, he doesn't have to pay kefil. And from himatze timatze teaches that mod b'knas v'achar kach ba'u edim, that if a fellow admits to having stolen, let's say, so he's going to be potter from paying the knas, from paying kefil, and that's even if witnesses later come still. Mod b'knas v'achar kach ba'u edim potter, right? So if you learn out from the first pasuk ganif, from the second pasuk Toyin Tainis ganif, you learn out from asher yashiyun Elohim that mod b'knas is potter, and you learn out from himatze timatze that mod b'knas v'achar kach ba'u edim is potter. Now, if you learn out that both of the psukim are talking about Toyin Tainis ganif, so you learn out from himatze timatze that the ganif himself is chayav kefil, and you learn out from asher yashiyun Elohim that mod b'knas is potter. What about mod b'knas v'achar kach ba'u edim? Man d'omer tavai b'toyin tainis ganif kasav mod b'knas v'achar kach ba'u edim chayiv. So Itaka holds that mod b'knas v'achar kach ba'u edim taka would be chayiv kefil. So if a fellow, let's say, admits that he stole something, so he's potter from kefil, but if witnesses then come and testify about him stealing it, so then he's going to be taka chayiv kefil. Ulman d'omer chad b'ganif v'chad b'toyin tainis ganif. And according to the Mandam, who says that the first pasuk is talking about a ganif, the second pasuk is talking about Toyin Tainis ganif. Dinafkale ganif mehasam, that he learns out ganif from the first of the two psukim. Bishlama im himatze timatze. So I understand he learns out from im himatze timatze l'chidurava bar ahiloi, like Rava bar ahiloi, who says that mod b'knas v'achar kach ba'u edim is potter, right? Yeah. Aval kol hane prate lamali. Oh, but still, why do you need all of these prats? Right? Meaning, if you say that both psukim are talking about Toyin Tainis ganif, so how do you know the ganif himself? Well, that's learned out from himatze timatze, and you have all these prats to talk about. Like all these halachos of where you chayiv kefil. But if you say that the first of the two psukim is talking about a ganif, the second pasuk is talking about Toyin Tainis ganif, so I don't need himatze timatze to be teaching me about ganif. It's only teaching me mod b'knas v'achar kach ba'u edim potter. So why do I need all of these prats, all those extra prats? What are they teaching me? Nothing to do with mod b'knas v'achar kach ba'u edim. So the Tana Dvei B'Shmuel, it's like Tana Dvei B'Shmuel, the Tana Dvei B'Shmuel, called Parsha Sheneema V'Nishnes, that any Parsha that is repeated, right? It's said one time and then repeated. Lo Nishnes Elu Davar Shenis Chadish Ba is repeated, even if it's just for one thing that's new. Kilu. It might sound like it might sound like the Torah is being a broken record. It might sound like the Torah is being a broken record. It might sound like the Torah is being a broken record. Earlier when I was learning this stuff, I thought it was so funny that I would just myself be like a broken record. But look, I'll tell you, it's not as funny as I thought it would be. Al Koponim. So the Torah could repeat something a second time, and it sounds like a broken record, but it's okay because it'll do it if there's something new. And that something new here would be that Himatzi Timatzi teaches us that Mod b'knas v'achar kach ba'u edim is potter, according to the opinion who says that the first pasuk teaches us about ganif, the second pasuk teaches about Toyin Tainis ganif. From Himatzi Timatzi you learn out Mod b'knas v'achar kach ba'u edim is potter, and all the stuff that's repeated is okay because of that new halacha about moed b'knas v'chakach bo edim is potter. Ve'ema ganif atzmo b'shvuah. Let's say that a ganif who steals epis, he would only be chayiv kefel if he swears that he didn't steal it. Lo sagadatich, no, nisht. The Tana, because we learn in the Brayso of Yaakov, says of Yaakov, Shnayim Yishalim, Shalo b'shvuah. That you have to pay kefel, or he has to pay kefel, and he doesn't swear. Atoma Shalo b'shvuah. You think that it's talking about without a swear? Or b'shvuah. Maybe Taka needs to make a shvuah. Omar lo kach hoyo. They say nisht. Ma lo kach hoyo. What do you mean nisht? Omar bai lo lichtov rachmone Shnayim Yishalim beganif. V'leisi b'kavachom mitoin tainis ganif. Just don't say kefel by a ganif, and just learn it out from toin tainis ganif. Ma toin tainis ganif the be'atera also liyode omikra lishalim trey. That if by toin tainis ganif, that when a depositor leaves something by a custodian, that the custodian initially got his hands on it in a totally permissible way. A depositor deposited by him. And we say that if he keeps it for himself, he's only going to have to pay he's only going to have to pay kefel if he swears that it got stolen. So ganif atzmo to be isura also liodei lo kol shekain. And then wait, what? I don't know what the heck I just said. Wait, what? I don't know what I just said. Wait, what? Dude, what? Oh man, I'm losing my short-term memory again. It's like literally like 2 p.m. or something. Like I'm not even tired, but my brain is just really tired. This stuff I guess dries out my wears down my brain. Wait, but we're almost at the end. But I don't even know what we're talking about. Chaver, I'm starting over again. Like 6 lines from the bottom, okay? Let's say that the ganif himself needs to swear in order to be chayiv kefil. No, it shouldn't enter your mind. The Tana that we learned in the Brayso of Yaakov says of Yaakov, Shnai mishalim, okay? That it says that a ganif pays double. Shalo b'shvuah, without a shvuah. Hatom shalo b'shvuah, you say without a shvuah. U'eno b'shvuah, maybe it means Yitaka needs to swear. Omet lo kach hoya, nisht. My lo kach hoya. Omet bai, lo lichtov rachmone shnai mishalim beganif. By a ganif, don't say shnai mishalim. Don't say anything about kefil. V'leisi b'kavachomer. Let's say a kavachomer mitoin tain is ganif. Umatoin tain is ganif. The be'ter also liodei. The be'toin tain is ganif. Initially, he got the object in a totally permissible way. He was a custodian, but then he steals it, and he says he himself takes it. Says it got stolen. Amr kali shalim trey. And the Torah says even in that case where it initially came in his possession permissibly, it says kefil. Ganif atzmo to be isura asaliyade. A ganif himself who stole it milchatchila lo kol shekain. Certainly he should have to pay kefil. Ella shnai mishan because of achmona beganif atzmo lomali. Why does the pasuk specifically say kefil by a ganif himself? Tafilu shelo b'shvuah. That even without a shvuah, he has to pay kefil. V'hai imimatze lehachihu de also. Wait, but is imimatze timatze really teaching us? I guess whatever we're learning from it. Whether it's toin tanis ganif, whether it's moed b'knas v'chakach bo edim, or if it's ganif kefil by a ganif. But regardless, we need it for the following brisa. Yodo, I know if a fellow steals by taking epis in Ein li ela yodo. All I know is if he steals with his hands. Gago chatzer v'kapir from naim. How do I know if he steals by something by something is going on his roof or his courtyard or his karpif? You remember what a karpif is? Karpif was like an eruvin sugya. Honestly, I don't really remember. Was that the thing that was like 273 like amas by like 273 amas or something? Yeah, I don't remember really what a karpif is. Karpefo? I don't really remember who remembers what a karpif is? I don't know, some kind of eruvin thing. So it says imimatze timatze. So not just by his hand, but by any of these other means as well. So mikomakom. So imkein lema kra himatze o timatze midishani kra shmamina tate. Yeah, if it was only teaching that, like gago chatzer karpefo, then it would say himatze or timatze. Why is it himatze timatze? to say that you can learn out both things. You can learn out whatever Joshua we're going to learn out earlier from Himatzi to Matzi, or we can learn out also that it could be Gagol Chatzeru V'Karpefo. Woo! Oh. My oh my. Okay. So that was Daf Samach Daled of Masechta BavaKama. I don't know. What do you want me to tell you? We just kept on learning this like klal stuff to include Ganif. Yeah, we learned an interesting machlokas about Mod B'Knas V'Chakach Bo Eidim. So it's machlokas about whether you're Chayiv or Potter. Anyways, yeah, that was for the Ilu Nishmas, my grandfather, Reuben Ben Chaim. Chevre, peace out.